Hey there, everybody. It's me, Jim, doing the second live stream. It's a whole bunch of stuff on the table here. Let's get used to this being reversed. We've got some of these things, I think, from Dreamforge games, some bolt action stuff. I think these are Eldorado figures right here. So have no idea which of these. There's all kinds of fun stuff. We've got, I think some of these, I don't know, might be Eden figures. Something like that. We'll throw this out there. And as people come into the room, I'd even do a little bit of object source lighting on this Molotov cocktail right here. But what I'm going to do is start off with a few washes, just like I did last time, because that's what we did here. We were just darkening everything down. So I'm going to throw out some of the liner paints here. There's a little bit of brown liner. And of course, blue liner, can't go wrong with that. These are from Reaper. But this is a new one right here. I'm going to try the engine grime. We used it in the last session on vehicles and bases, but I want to also try it on some of these guys here and see what happens. Like before, I have my collection of sponges right here. So we've got some clean ones. You can see how much paint those sponges can absorb. And we also have our other makeup sponges right here. Oh, hey there. How's it going? Yeah, this is really different than the Facebook Lives, I'll tell you that. Because, well, everything is reversed, that's just weird enough to start with. And yeah, the camera looks a little bit different on this one here. I wasn't sure. Hopefully people can hear me and such, because as of a few hours ago, we actually had no internet at all. Kathy was trying to do her live stream on Twitch. Was it last night? And it just kicked her off. And Comcast said, "Well, your router has an end-of-life issue." That's not a paraphrase. That's a quote. So that led to hours of screwing around. Oh, hey there, I'm glad it's because just saying, "Hey there, scale model review." That's not quite as much fun as saying, "Hey, Steve, how's it going?" All right, so what I'm doing, just like we did on the vehicle, just throwing this out. See, it's watered down a little bit. You can see that I'm just using gravity, and so I'm going to stop right here because, again, it's all about gravity. And if I just stop right there, what I can do before this gets a little bit too dried out. Oh, well, thank you very much. I hope these actually really are almost more interesting, well, kind of helpful for some folks than, say, specific lesson things. So see what I'm doing there? Just pulling out. We'll do the same thing over here. Same thing over here. Clean sponge. So it's not about destroying the pre-shading that I did with the primers. It's just about adding a little more depth to those shadow areas. See how much is being pulled off. But the liner paints are just fantastic for getting those extra bit of darks. So see, now got a little more sheeting in there. The reason the head's a different color is, let me get this thing away from my elbow, is that they had to be replaced because the person who this was for, they said, "Well, hey, Jim, can you take the heads off of the ones that are started and switch them out with these?" So that's what I did. So you see, I don't know if you can see it here on this leg, how much lighter that is. Well, look how much shadow we're putting in there. It's a combination, again, of the blue liner paint and the engine/streaking grime from Sacred Weapon. And once again, I'm just keeping on this side of it right here. You don't have to follow the lines, really. I'm going to do the same thing. And just a couple of swipes. Takes away the stuff on the top, but it leaves behind the real in-depth shading. Let's keep going here. Move around to the back of this. So yeah, this is, I thought another thing too is you got a combination of figures that have really bright colors and then stuff like this, which some people would say is a limited palette, muted palette, whatever, compressed palette. There's every euphemism you can possibly think of. I just thought that's another thing too. It's just how to maximize the time you have, because I do this for a living, and of course time is money, quite literally. But for people who aren't doing this for a living, that means they don't have that much time to do it. They may only have 20 minutes a day between the kids and work and the house and everything else. I know for me, because of this whole stupid internet thing, I think I was up painting till 5:30 this morning because I knew we were going to have to travel halfway across the world to replace that stupid modem. So here, I'm going to do the same thing. Just swipe. Same thing. I'm going to grab a clean sponge here. Swipe again. Now I can be a little more rigorous with this because it's a pretty solid figure. Say I want to get a little more precise with what I'm pulling off. Back to these smaller makeup sponges. Again, just I got all of them off Amazon. Can pretty much find them at Walgreens, drugstores, all that kind of stuff. So let's just make sure we got all this hit. Take out that highlight there. And it looks like I got just enough of my grime blue liner to hit this arm here. And I'm still trying to get used to, say again, reason why he keeps wandering off to one side is that when I look at the screen, it's completely reversed from how my setup is here. And Google Hangouts does the same thing, but because I've done more of those, I think I know where the little settings thing is to change that. This is only the second time I've ever done one of these. So I have no clue where that setting is. In fact, both of these live sessions is just kind of me pressing buttons, and then all of a sudden, poof, I'm live. I think eventually I'll just do the XSplit. I think XSplit's a little bit better for here than Facebook. So let's see, we got him darkened down. Where's the... Got him... Yeah, he's a little more darkened down to what we have over here. And last but not least, we have the base. The base is kind of a pain because of these grates here. They're just really tough to get the brush down in there. I think something like this, I thought, well, I could do this on a Facebook Live, but it's a little more involved. It would take a little more time, and ultimately, what I'd like these to be is a longer version of the Facebook Lives. Gonna try and do some Twitch stuff at a certain point. That is, if the internet's ever stable enough again. Because it looks like, the timer is counting up. So clearly I'm not being booted off or anything like that. Just using the last of that grime. I'm going to throw out a little more so I can get this finished off here. Just throw some out. You can see these first stages. This is typically part of that whole shaded base coat glazing thing. So I'm just going to leave that go, set him aside. And we'll grab one of these guys, and there's a finished one here. So this is yet another thing that we're working on here. We've got a whole team of these underway all at the same time. So let's go back to the secret weapon stuff, but add some old mud. Just because it says mud on there doesn't mean you have to use it just for dirt. I use it for leather, parchment type stuff. So I threw out some brown liner again. Got this. Mix that up a little bit. And get in here and just get some darks. It's pretty much like what we just did. Only we've changed up the colors a little bit. And you'll see how the brown liner in this, they just really get down into those crevices here. So down we go. Getting some darks in there. Doesn't matter if it hits the boots or not. Sponge. And just start to take some of that away. Again, just like before, it unveils all the lights. Most of the lights that were there before. It's not supposed to bring everything back. And we'll compare it to that. So I'm going to actually throw out a little bit more of that. And I see I got a couple of more bases that I'm going to do. Now I'm going to bounce back to the other guy. The other thing here is I wanted to show maybe how to work on a few of these at the same time, because that's really not something you see. I've asked around, and people ask, I ask people, so who's doing, say, unit painting instead of 3 hours painting the belt buckle? And people say, not a lot. And by not a lot, they pretty much mean nobody. So that's something I'm trying to do. I'm trying to set that up with the Patreon thing. I've got various pledge levels for showing you how to do at least paint units. Paint more than one figure at the same time. And basically that's where I'm going with that. And the page, it's real simple. It's just James Wapple, patreon.com. So we can use this sponge too. You don't have to use the other sponge. Get in there, do those things too. The other thing is, here's a sponge that I cut up. Hey, Gilbert, how's it going? Thanks. I'm glad this is looking okay and sounded okay, because, man, Kathy was not a happy camper when I wasn't XSplit. It was Twitch just said, yeah, you're not doing this tonight, and just booted her off. And that was definitely not a super happy Kathy right there. So I'm just going to do this last base here, and we'll bounce right back, depending on how much paint is left too. So see here, I'm switching things up. Grabbed a little bit of that grime color right there. This is not a super watery glaze at this point. Hey, John, how's it going? Oh, and we have a few other folks in the house. Yeah, I think Gilbert knows, and so does Steve. Normally, my Facebook Lives happen at insane o'clock in the morning for those of you in the U.S., or I would say Eastern and Central time zones. But this, I might do more of these, say, in the middle of the day. Well, you guys might be at work, but won't be at 4 o'clock in the morning. Or that's something. So there we go. There's all three of those. Now let's head back to this guy. You can see there's blues and there's greens in that. So we got Steve, Gil, and Howard in the house. I'm going to put a few different colors out here. So they're just lighter colors, not really any rhyme or reason. I'm even going to throw some of this verdigris pale green out here just for the heck of it. And we're just going to be mixing some colors together. It's going to be insane. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Let's throw out some of this. This is rubber highlight from Secret Weapon. Just throw it all out there. And we'll see what the heck happens. So let's grab ourselves another one of these little crap bushes. Is a good idea here to show you the difference in the two. So this one's a little more pristine. This one, it's seen some action, which means now I got my filbert brush going on. Oh, yeah, you can subscribe here. There's not just the live sessions, but hey, check out the battle reports because that's my pride and joy right there. So here's what they look like brand new. There you go, $5, 12 of them. Hobby Lobby, or just go to the website and get them from there. So let's start mixing some stuff together here. We got the grime, we got that rubber tire stuff. Put it where you can see it. You can see how I'm just working like this. So instead of doing this, as if this is pointing, instead of going like this, right? It's more like that. Now it's obviously a little more convenient on something like this that has these flat surfaces, but there's an awful lot of miniatures that do. So here we got this shoulder pad thing here. Yeah, let's get rid of some of the excess. And because I've got other colors sitting here, see, we got that flat brush. Oh, look at this. It's for wet in the wet. Let's keep that going. You don't have to paint wet into wet if you don't want. Get rid of that little piece of fuzz. Yeah, this might look a little bit weird on camera because it's all shiny, being wet. But I think you'll kind of get the idea where we're going with this. And see, we already got real quick some shading on there. Let's flip it over to the other side. You can see not a whole bunch going on there. So let's do this process again. All I'm doing, just wet that down to new paint. Let's get the next level here. Put it where you can see it. No Hobby Lobby here. Yeah, just you can go to their website. I can't remember the last time I was actually in a Hobby Lobby. Actually, come to think of it, well, it's better here because I'm not paying 12% sales tax for one thing. Well, I guess not anymore, but it saves me the time going there, and sometimes I find things easier on the website. So see, I was able to do just some quick wet. Here's the one that's dry now. Get that up on there for you guys to see. Oh, hey there, Gary. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to catch this maybe at a little bit more convenient time for you. And I know I get alerts from some of the history guys that I subscribe to. So I figured, hey, what the heck? Reagan, come on, we're not that recent. I mean, we're talking, I think at least James Buchanan. No, actually, that's even a little too recent. Maybe more like Adams. Yeah, the first one. Just going around here, picking out some things. Let's get this front one here. And some of that preliminary wash, well, that's still wet. And the other thing I'm going to do here is mix in a little bit of that green. A little bit of that green. Make sure you can see it. Now, you're not going to see it change in value, but you are going to see, I think you can, this is a little more green than that one. And this is the other thing too. Sometimes you just got to hold the miniature and work the brush in a way. See, I just kind of feathered that. There's plenty of paint on the brush. It wasn't a dry brush at all. I was just using more of a feathered type stroke on there. Let's get some of this green right here. And we'll throw some on this. So I'm going to make sure I'm not missing people here. They don't send to Canada. Well, boy, that's really weird that they wouldn't. Well, I get it. I can understand. I know most of my other Canadian friends say that Canada Post does some real interesting things. They usually beg me not to send stuff to them. They just say, wait till I come there and just get it from you in person. But I'm sure you've got either a Michael's or some other kind of craft store. They're basically sets of synthetic brushes, and they're kind of a dime a dozen. Not a whole lot of. There might be a difference in some, but I've got other sets that I use, like these guys right here. So I also use these. I think we've found similar sets, say at Michael's or so. I'm just going to scroll here. Okay, so this scrolls automatically for me. Again, I'm still getting used to this. See, I'm just picking at the bottom of this right here. Just going after the bottom. Now I'm going to hit the top of this. Let's throw a little bit of lighter color. And you can see I've gone nowhere near light. Nowhere near light yet. But already we have some lights and darks